Hi, welcome to the chronological Bible readings with Hebrew pronunciations. All right, why Hebrew? Why even learn Hebrew if you are an English speaker? If English is your first language, you could read a translation. I'm going to give you some reasons for that, and we're going to pick one Hebrew word that will blow your mind. But let's think about a few things. If you are a native English speaker, especially in uh, a westernized school system, you're probably only learning one language. If you are from another country, you're probably learning multiple languages. And if you speak multiple languages, you already know the answer to that. Some things in your native language cannot be translated adequately into English or into other languages. Sometimes there is a word, like one word. Um, my husband was born in Italy. He did not even speak English till he was 11 years old. And when his family is around talking, sometimes there are phrases I recognize. Sometimes I say, "What did you say?" And sometimes there is just a phrase of three words. And he has to give me a whole paragraph for what it means. He gives me a literal translation and then says it doesn't mean really what the literal translation sounds like. It's more of an idiom and it means this. And there's so much culture wrapped around uh, the word. And then sometimes they'll have phrases and it's just one word in English. So you really get a richness if you learn something about the original language. So at this point, we're right at the end of January. We're beginning February. January had us reading the book of Genesis. We're now going into Exodus. We're going to start with the very first word in the Bible. In Hebrew, the word is Bereshit. It's often translated as in the beginning. And that is a very poor, wishy-washy, blah, no seasoning, just sort of, yeah, it means this, but wait till I tell you the depth. Now, as we go into Exodus, the main person that we hear about is Moshe doing all of the things that Yahweh has spoken about and told him to do. And in case you're wondering, these letters in my hat is Yod He Vav He. This was scanned directly from the Aleppo Codex. And the little extra stuff over there are what's called the vowel pointings. So when I say Yod He, Yaho, Vav He, it's not Yahovah, it's not Yahoveh, it's not Yahovah, it's not Yehovah. There's kind of almost a little diphthong between the ah and the eh, so it's Yahoveh. So I'm not a native Hebrew speaker, so I probably have a little bit of a dialect from where I've grown up and spoken English, but that gives you an idea. But let's get to our word Bereshit. And I'm going to show you something right here. Bereshit is composed of the Hebrew letters called Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, and Tav. And if you look, you will see over here, this looks more like the modern Hebrew. But before the modern Hebrew, if you look at a Torah scroll or things like that, you're mostly going to see the modern Hebrew. And on my hat here is modern Hebrew. But before that, we have Paleo Hebrew. So there's going to be some very interesting things with that. But let's talk about this. This is the very first word in the Bible, Bereshit. Bereshit. You can kind of see the B-R-A, Bera, S, Y-T, Bereshit. Again, we don't have the vowel pointings, but we understand how this word is pronounced because it's a pretty common word. So let's go with the meanings. Now stick with me. If you're taking notes, you might want to get a pen and paper. So Bereshit. Did you ever play that game where you like took a long word and you tried to see how many little words you could make out of it? We're going to do this with Hebrew. So the very first two letters of Bereshit actually means the Beit, the Resh, and the Aleph. That means, okay, let me start with the first letters. The Beit and the Resh, that means bar, and bar means sun. Okay, kind of cool. So write that word down if you're taking notes, write down the word sun. The next set of letters, we're going to go Beit, Resh, Aleph. Now we have got those words, Beit, Resh, and Aleph. It's kind of cool. It means bara, and that means create. Bara means create. And here's something really cool. Bara or abara means I create. Abara, I create. Now, if you say abara kadabara, that is I create as I speak. I create as I speak. The Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue. Our words have power. You create as you speak. We're created in the image of God, and God created. He spoke the world into existence. So think about that whenever you say anything negative or positive. Do you want to create negativity in your life? Then speak negative things. If you want to create positive things in your life, speak positive things. All right, so let's continue to go on. So if we just take the Aleph, Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Second letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Beit. Aleph, Beit, Aleph, Beit, alphabet. Sounds kind of like alphabet. But Aleph is the very first letter, and it typically means God. In the Bible, I am the Aleph. It wasn't the Greek word, the Aleph. It also is the first letter of the word Elohim. Elohim also means God. So we've got sun, we've got God. We know God is the one who's created. Let's go ahead and take Resh, Aleph, and Shin. Resh, Aleph, and Shin. Together, the Resh, the R sound, Resh, Rosh, Rosh, that means head, okay? So now we're going right and we're seeing where those three letters in order make the word head. So go ahead and write down head. Now we're going to take the next set of letters, Shin, Yod, and Tav, Shin, Yod, and Tav, Shayeth, Shayeth. Shayeth is the word that spells Shayeth. Shayeth means thorns or thorn bush. So just think of, even a rose. A rose is like a thorn bush with something pretty on it. So just get that image in mind, and you can go ahead and write down thorns. Now, in that word, if we just take the shin and the yod, that is shay, shay, S-H-Y, shay. Shin and the yod, shay, that means gift. So again, if you're writing that down, write down the word gift. The final letter Tav, T-A-V, Tav. Tav, that letter means or represents truth or gift, sign or covenant, life or death. Now I want to explain something to you about the letters. We said Aleph, single letter, represents God, first letter of Elohim. The Tav represents the idea of truth, covenant, sign, life or death. In the Hebrew, every single letter in the Hebrew, you could write a whole book on with the meaning and the depth. Every letter has a number attached to it. Every letter has a meaning and representation. So we're not going to go into details on that, but just imagine you can take one letter from the Hebrew alphabet and have a whole book written about the depth and meaning. So we're just going to take that final letter, Tav, and I want you to consider if you were writing down those words. Are you noticing something? You wrote down sun. You've got God underneath. Okay, so there's sun, God. There's like God's son. Got something about a head. You've got something about thorns, like God's son has thorns on his head, and there's somehow a gift involved that relates to a covenant, something that's truth, something that relates life or death. And when you look at the Paleo Hebrew, what does that look like? What does that look like? Come on. Come on. Are you getting it? If you believe the Bible, if you have heard the stories of the Son of God who had thorns put on his head and was hung on something that looked just like that. And because of that thing that he did, we have life instead of death. We have a restored covenant. And we have the truth of all time. So if you're blown away by that, put a comment and just think that was the very first word that Moshe or Moses wrote for the very first book. And when you read in the beginning from now on, you'll know that the word Bereshit does not just mean in the beginning, but it has a richness, a depth, and it tells the whole story from that first word. And as he was writing it, he probably didn't quite get the whole entire picture that the story, the end of the story, was reflected right in the beginning of the book with that one word.